The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoe Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
We are back again.
That means they are too, Tom.
That's right. See, now you're catching on.
You know, I just thought I'd jump to get a little ahead of you.
Well, if they're hearing our voice, they're here.
That's true. And if they're not hearing our voice,
well, then they're somewhere else.
They've moved on.
That's absolutely true. You're listening to The Local Show, by the way, Tom and Steve. There is a line that you can communicate directly with us. You know, the iHeart has their talkback line. Mm-hmm. Well, you could talk right to Steve if you know how to type, text.
Well, if you can text and you want to tell us, get some guests back, you ask a question, people are like, who was that person that was on 3 weeks ago they talked about? We get all that stuff all the time.
I got something to. I need a snowblower. Yeah. So text Steve if you know anybody who has a snowblower.
Yeah. And definitely get one that's hard to start.
No, I need a good one.
But looks really good.
I need a good one.
So that's what he needs.
My budget is $5.99.
So 216-0273. And people are staying in touch, and we appreciate it. And thanks for listening. But 216-0273, the text Steve compliment line.
There we go. Very nice. Josh Lange is here to even us out. He is the pastor at Redeemer Church here in Syracuse. Josh, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back, guys.
Well, thank you for being here. So we're heading, the holidays are here.
Yep.
Joy to the world. I always wanted to.
A little Irish thing there. A little Gaelic thing there, Tom?
I used to play in the band, in the church band for a while there.
Did they call it a band, or was it that they have to use another word?
We had a band. It was Catholic church, and we did, I played bass, and we had a guitar player, and I think it was one of the nuns who played, she played guitar. 2 of them. And, we did all the liturgical songs as well as the fun stuff and all that. But I never sang with an organ, and I really wanted to do that.
I'll let my mom come in.
With the organ player. We had a beautiful organ. Do you have an organ over at the church? Or?
No. We do have keyboards that do produce those organ sounds.
The organ sounds, yeah. Well, at least you got the organ sound. So what happens? Do you get a surge of people looking for redemption during the holiday, or what? What happens here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think around the Christmas season, people do start asking questions, in part because you've got 2 things going on. On one side of it, you see all, the tinsel and the gifts and the excitement, and to a degree, some nostalgia.
Hey, can I mention the other side? All the people I loved are dead.
Yes.
I was going to get to that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to get to that. And for other people, around this time of year, you begin to notice people who are listening, not here, and you also begin to notice maybe just some of the difficulties that are going on in life, and you begin to ask why. I know in our family, just last year, my son dealing with autoimmune diseases already. So going into Christmas last year, we go to, Jaws and Diabetes right down the street, and they're like, hey, this test result's off a little bit. And
that's what you want to hear, right?
Right at Christmas
time. Because there was nothing else going on.
And, his thyroid might be off, so we need to wait 2 weeks before he can take the test again. So this is like in the middle of December, and we're just like,
right.
Astounded at what's going on. And so sometimes even as, I'm thinking about today and what we're going to talk about, I'm thinking about that event and I'm like, boy, December sometimes has mixed emotions for me.
It really does. I can say this, though. Nationally, I heard a statistic that Bible sales were up a little over 28% or something like that.
Yeah, that just came out this week, people are saying that it could be related to the COVID pandemic and people beginning to read more. But I would dare to say this, is when you're confronted with drastic changes in life, something like that COVID pandemic produced so suddenly upon us, you're forced to reckon with eternal things. It's like, well, why did that happen? Why isn't this happening? What happens when you see so many folks pass during such an extraordinary time. And you begin to ask these deeper questions about life and its meaning and its purpose. And the beauty of Christianity is the fact that we have in Jesus God who came down to earth and experienced life as you and I know it. He was born just like us. He was born into poverty. If you think about that, he was born into quickly becoming a refugee and experienced all of life that you and I would experience. He experienced the pain and the suffering. And yet what's so interesting about Jesus is the big difference between us and him is he never sinned.
Yeah, but okay. Hey, but he was Jesus. Sometimes you have people, they look and they'll say, and I'll do that. I'll be reading the word, like the Apostle Paul saying these things like, oh, he's Paul. I don't feel like on any given day I'm Jesus or I'm Paul.
Well, I think...
I feel like I'm Steve, and I'm struggling. I don't know.
I know Jesus, and you're no Jesus.
Yeah, right, exactly. Thank you very much.
But here's the brilliance of Christianity is because Christ was born like us, and he lived like us, except without sin. And he went to the cross and paid the price for our sin. 3 days later, we know that he rose again. And because of that, we know that the sacrifice of his life was accepted by God. What happens is when we put our faith and our hope and our trust in Jesus, right? What happens is we receive forgiveness. We receive newness of life. We are reconciled to God. And the basis of that reconciliation, that forgiveness, is Christ and what he's done. And so now we can begin to live our lives not from a place of striving to see if we're going to measure up, but we begin to live our lives from a place of this is what's been done for you. And now in response to that, I'm going to live by the power of God's Spirit in a way which glorifies him and worships him. And so again, it's not you doing it on your own, but God stepping into our situation and making it possible for us.
Maybe like a child would want to please their parents, not because their parents aren't going to love them or not love them, but because they want to make their parents proud.
Yeah.
Is that a fair?
Yeah. It's an appropriate response to love demonstrated and done.
Let's clear up a couple of things here. First, is Christmas really on Christmas? Was the birth of Christ? Was he?
It's more like was the 4th of July, wasn't it?
Yeah. Was he born in the summer, or was he really born on the 25th?
Well, one of the things that, it wasn't specifically the 25th.
Okay, it wasn't. All right.
So, but when you look at the four Gospels, right, you can see those actual historical documents, whether it's a Christian academic or even an atheist, who is an academic, they all agree those are historical documents that tell us, hey, that Jesus Christ really was a person who lived.
But it was like springish, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I saw.
So why do we celebrate on the 25th?
Because we took over a pagan holiday, didn't we?
Specifically, I don't got that one off the top of my head.
I think so. No, I think there was like a thing of like, hey, you know what? Let's do this now.
All right. That's the first thing. And then really quickly, what is the relationship now? I've noticed a lot of commercials and social media and everything talking about the Jewish faith and the Hanukkah and everything, and relating to Christianity and Christmas.
With 39 seconds, I don't think we can plunge the depths of those things. But what I would say is that for Christians, we're celebrating the birth of our Savior, God's gift to us.
And Hanukkah was in the same season.
Okay.
They celebrate. So those things kind of are
and maybe we're seeing commercials and support because of the war in Israel and all that. So that's what's going on.
Well, sure. So Redeemer Church across from Nottingham High School.
Yep.
Right there. And and there's a real quick 10 seconds. What's that concert?
It's an Irish Christmas at the Stanley Theater in Utica, New York. It's a great event. We're going to have not only Keith and Kristen Getty, but Blessing Offer.
Yep. And I went there last year. It was fabulous.
Yep.
So, all right, Tom.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Josh.